Hi, so today we're going to talk about April. Right now it's the 13th of April, and if you've read my forecast for April, I'm going to sort of highlight the middle of this month because that's when most of the things are really happening. Not that a lot hasn't happened already, but we are in the sign of Aries. And so we have a lot of things that are going on right now that are coming to its culmination in this week of the middle of the month because planets are all lining up with the sun in Aries. Now, we've already had Neptune and Saturn in Aries, which I will talk about briefly again, and then we have other planets coming up also, and we will get a new moon on the 17th where the sun and the moon will both be in Aries. So what I want to do right now is talk about defining Aries for you guys. So Aries is essentially, we call it, a war planet. It's, we're in war times, whatever, conflict. Aries essentially is about identity and survival of one's identity. And so if we look at one's identity, it's the first of the signs of the zodiac. So it's the initiation of the beginning. So it is the essence of the beginning of something. And it's also the first house, which is your actual identity of you. So we look at the rising sign as one's physicality of what they look like, because they present themselves. So someone who is an Aries is very concerned about how they look. It is a beauty snob sign along with Libra. So essentially, Aries is initiation. It is the just do it kind of energy. And this is, when you have any Aries in your life, they are the risk takers. They're the first one to fall out of a tree when they're a kid and break an arm because they just take risks. They just go forward. So that's why we look at Nike as a very competitive athletic company, and their slogan is just do it. And again, their symbol being a swoosh really isn't a swoosh. It's basically a check mark, which is like next. Next means I'm on to the next thing. So if you get in an argument with an Aries, they'll blow up on you, and then an hour later they've forgotten the whole thing, and you're still running around feeling like, well, we need to talk about this, and they've moved on. It frustrates people when they have this problem. So Aries is a war sign and a warrior, essentially, because if we look at a warrior itself, he's alone on a battlefield for his own survival. Goes into the military, given devices and tools to survive alone on a battlefield. Yes, he's surrounded by other soldiers, but he's still alone at the end of the day. So they're very self-driven. And I have a friend who's got a lot of Aries in his chart, and his license plate says me, which is just perfect. It's exactly how I would expect the Aries to identify themselves. It's me first. So this is where we are right now in terms of this month, about taking action, finding our identity, what we want, where we're going. And so when we talk about Saturn and Neptune in Aries right now, Neptune is our collective identity. So it is the ideological part of our humanity. So the different religions. And so which one is the one that represents you based on where you are in the world and the culture and the religion, and they're different all over the world. Then we have Saturn, which is the structure of what we create in our identity, about how we want to build ourselves in this world as an individual. So when I look at where we're going right now, we see religious war. So the religious war is, again, this dynamic of what our identity is in the belief system of what works for us in different parts of the world. But there is a conflict. And the conflict is the second thing outside of ideology that brings humanity in its storyline are resources. Resources are the things we need to survive. And so everything is about who gets the resources and where do they come from. And so right now, part of the war that happens as we have the United States bombing Iran, one of the largest ideologies known to this culture of humanity, into the Muslim culture, we are going in and we want their resource, oil, because that's what the President of the United States is interested in, is resources. He's a money businessman, and he's already taken Venezuela, now he's going after Iran. So that's what his concept is. Is that yours? Is that ours? Is that our belief system as a country? But that's what we're doing right now. So the conflict is sort of like unknown because it happened out of nowhere, because President is a very unpredictable, chaotic person. And everyone just is following him through whatever comes out of his head that day, and here we are at this point in time. So I want you to know that this whole middle of the month is very scary, because even last week, the planet Mars, which rules Aries, Mars entered its own sign of Aries, and that is exactly the amount of around the time where Donald Trump decided he wanted to end an entire civilization, which is just crazy symbolically when you look at astrology. So as we keep moving forward, does this become more volatile? Well, as I said, we get a new moon on the 17th, which is just a few days away from this video. And on that day, the sun and the moon come together. And that is what we call a new moon. Mercury will join along in Aries at the same time. And so what happens in that, it's a new beginning. Always new moons are new beginnings, where full moons are culminations of things that, are going to come in conflict. And then the new beginning is like, what did we learn from the full moon? Now, which way do we go? So it's a move forward time. So moving forward right now is essential for us to look at where we're trying to go as a culture and a society all over the world, because all the different fractions of different parts of the world are breaking apart, finding their own identity. So again, even we look at the NATO alliances, it's like, no, we're not going to join you. We don't believe in this. It's everyone's coming into a different sort of, okay, everything's different. We're being separated. And so that's happening globally and collectively. But individually in your own life, this is the same thing that's going on in your own chart. The whole point is that what are your ideologies for you? What is your belief system outside of what's going on around you, out in the world? Where are you in your life? Whatever age you're at, wherever you are living, whatever you're doing in your life, is it who you are? Are you initiating your life? Are you making decisions to change your life on your terms? Or are you just following along? Are you in a bad relationship that you feel like, I just can't do this anymore? Or a job, it's like, this isn't where I want to be. Everything right now is to sort of look at your life in your own warrior spirit and saying, am I going to be a follower to somebody else's belief, or I'm going to become part of my own, and to find what that is, which means you have to detach from the external part of where you give power in your life to determine what's right for you and what's right for everybody else. Finding your own individual self in terms of the directions you want to make. I'm doing this video right now and putting myself out on YouTube because right now I'm going through this in my chart. And I said, I need to put myself out there and be more public, which is something I have been sort of not wanting to do for a long time. And so now I'm just taking the risk. I don't know what it's going to reap, but I know it's just something I want to do and need to do because I have a lot of people that follow me that want me to speak more. So that's why I'm doing it this time. So I want you to ask yourself also, what you want right now, what are you willing to take a risk in order to get it and make these decisions and not let the outside world disrupt it? Yes, it's influenced, obviously, with resources and other things that we're all tied to dependently on the bigger picture. But even in your own life, what even small thing can you do? Where do you feel like you don't have power? Because the power comes from you and whatever your righteousness is or whatever direction you think is important in your life at whatever age you're at this time.